Welcome to Charts Today Energy. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Wednesday, the 17th of October, comes to you from London. And just looking at markets in general, stock markets recovering quite sharply yesterday. Wall Street up 2% on the Dow, up 3% on the Nasdaq. So tech stocks really driving things forward, and the futures for the US markets holding that situation. Asia up as well. Currencies, the dollar actually just returning to show a little bit of strength. So we're just seeing that transition. Euro looking a little bit weaker against the dollar this morning, and looking like we will go into short-term bearish. The dollar yen is where I tend to get my heads up on the dollar, and we're seeing here dollar yen just starting to come through, which is indicating a stronger dollar. Sterling against the dollar actually looking stronger, although it's down slightly this morning, and against the euro, sterling was looking stronger, but we're just seeing a little bit of a sell-off there, waiting these inflation numbers in the UK this morning. Taking a quick look at some of the commodities, gold has been a safe haven over the last week or two, and we're holding that short-term bull trend. And yields, bond yields, steady at about 3.15%, and German bonds actually up a little bit as well. So we're just seeing the bond market fairly steady. Taking a look at the energy mix, of course, crude is up this morning slightly, so we're seeing Brent crude up about a third of a percent, and that's just pushing us into short-term bullish territory here on the 60-minute chart. This is my weekly, my daily, and my 60-minute, my long-term targets, my medium and short-term targets, and my very short-term 1-minute charts. This is all running on Thomson Reuters Icon data. For your OTC data, of course, you can be running on Trayport as well. Taking a look at WTI, we see here that returning to short-term bullish as well. We see the recovery this morning. We've got upside targets 73, 73.20 on WTI. For Brent crude on the 1-minute chart, it's 81.70, and we have got an 86.80 target, but we need to move above that $82 level for that to be activated. So it does look like crude oil's recovering. The correlations with the dollar negative as we would expect. Looking at US nat gas, that's really held its strength lately. We're seeing a bit of a drop off this morning. So we've got downside targets of 316, 317. Just taking a look at the correlations with crude oil, look, it's still strongly correlated on the daily chart, of course. Not much correlation there on the medium, on the short-term 60-minute chart. Looks like we're going to see a little bit of a sell-off here just on US nat gas. It's just looking a little bit weaker, but long and medium term, we're still at these 9-month highs. Taking a quick look at coal prices sitting at $96 on the API2. We do have upside targets here on that 1-minute chart. Again, if you're using your Trayport data, you're going to see much better targets. Notice how the downside targets that were given at the start of the month were given and met. We've got a new upside target, which is really massive. We need to move above 96.75 really to activate that. So we've got work to do to get back to that $101 level. But at the moment, it's the bearish resistance is just hanging over the chart. But we are seeing yesterday the recovery there in coal price, so it is looking a little bit better. Taking a look at emissions, this is the December contract. We said yesterday that there were some downside targets. We're down some 2% this morning, so we are seeing emissions falling away just on this pattern. Very worrying if we take out this September low at around 17.80. So we've just got to keep an eye on that. We're seeing the deterioration in the price this morning further on emissions, and of course the 1-minute chart for targets on emissions is really good. We see how we're given this target only a couple of days ago. That's where we went. Upside target given and met. We've got downside targets this morning. Just keep an eye on those as well. Taking a look at NBP, down this morning. So we're seeing really just that continuing falls there in NBP. Again, we had this target of 69.20 that was given. That's now met and has passed. 66.90 is the sort of next target. That's on the 60-minute chart. So we are just seeing NBP deteriorate, and that's really bucking the trend with crude. There's a negative correlation creaking in, so it's not really following crude oil. These prices, of course, are the ICE contracts coming off Thomson Reuters Icon. If you're using Trayport data, you'll have clearer downside targets on these charts. And here we see on TTF downside targets that were given and being met, and we're just seeing the deterioration there again this morning in TTF. We've got to watch out for this low here on the 11th of October on the TTF chart. And again, just looking a little bit worrying, like a double top on the 60-minute chart here. So just keeping an eye on that as well. NCG is also down this morning some 3%, so that's really deteriorating as well. So we're seeing gas prices really falling quite heavily. Looking at power prices, we see German power is flat this morning, has been down, recovered a little bit this morning, so we are seeing that there. We've got a mix of targets on the 1 minute chart. We've got downside targets 48.60, 50 euros 2051, so 4% downside potential. There is a support level there, but at the moment these downside targets are sort of dominating. We do have one upside target 53, so a mixed picture. We need to wait to see which way we break, basically, and so that's quite key. Correlation with crude oil is fairly flat on the 60-minute chart. It's pretty strong still on the daily. So a big move in crude might well push that higher. Looking at French power, we still have these long-term targets to the upside for French power. But we have seen this deterioration just in the last week or two. Taking a look at the 1 minute chart, we've got downside targets some 10-20% lower, but upside targets as well. So really quite interesting there, and one to watch. Dutch power this morning is down 0.8%, so we are just seeing a bit of a fall away there. Polish power is up about 0.5%. So we're seeing there and some good upside targets. This is on the exchange, the Polish exchange, and we're seeing here some 4% upside in Polish power. So that's looking pretty good as well. Italian power is weaker, down some 0.2%. So just keeping an eye on these charts. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.